All right, let's just get this out on the table. I've done a lot of really dumb and stupid automotive things in my career. If it's forgetting to put lug nuts on a car and taking it for a drive, or thinking, when I was 18, putting slicks on my car would make it do a wheelie or something. It's just, there's a lot of really dumb things I've done. But this one absolutely takes the cake, okay? It is the story in which my son still says to this day he wish he had a camera. If he could go back in time, he would just point a camera right at where I was standing so that he could get all this on film, because it is embedded into his mind for the rest of his life. And it is wildly embarrassing for me, mainly because I had a huge audience when it happened. So I will tell you my perspective on it. The people that were there could tell you their perspective on it if you ever get a chance to talk to them. But let me paint you a picture, okay? So this is pretty bad, okay? So let me paint you a picture. It's my friend's car show, and he has this car show every year at his house, okay? So let me kind of draw you a picture. So he's got a road that kind of looks like this, okay? So this is the road, right? And then his driveway kind of does this motion, okay? And then it kind of flares out like this, and then it kind of does one of these into the house, and then let me get another color for the house. So then the house is kind of like this. He's got a nice deep garage, and the house kind of goes kind of like this, okay? Pretty standard house. Now, this is not to scale, so don't take anything of this 100% for true one-to-one. But to kind of give you some perspective, we can probably get 20 cars here, right? These are all cars, right? Cars, nice cars, but cars nonetheless. And we can get them usually too deep right here, okay? So lots of cars, and the cars kind of start here, and there's more cars here, and I'm just going to keep drawing cars, okay? Keep drawing cars. Okay, I'm just going to paint this picture because this is going to make a lot of sense once I tell you what happened, okay? So lots of cars lined up. There's even a couple cars over here, and there's, I don't know, if I were to estimate, maybe 50 to 75 people. So much so that he decides to hire a band, and the band is over here, and they're on this like little trailer thing, and they're having a great time, and they're pretty good. They're kind of a rockabilly / cover band, and they're good. I liked them. They were fun, and they were really a good addition. He also has a really big tree right here. There's a big tree here, and then I think there's a big tree kind of over in this area. Okay, so now this party that my friend has every year, he calls it the Hot Rod Barbecue. Nice guy, really liked him a lot. He's been, part of my, life for a long time, and kind of helped me out with a lot of automotive things, and was kind of a mentor for me for a really long time. Really super cool guy. So I try to go to this event every year, whether I have something to kind of put into his show or not. I always bring food. It's a BYOB, so it's lots of food. Okay, so let me draw you the food. Food kind of usually goes in the garage like this, and then they make these little tables, and it's kind of serve yourself sort of deal. There's here, and then there's usually little pop stands here, sodas and other things like that. Well, now keep in mind, there's a lot of people, and it's a Hot Rod Barbecue. He's a big foodie, so everybody brings a lot of food, and it's a really good time. So there's picnic baskets and picnic tables right here. Okay, lots of these little picnic tables here, and they're kind of in a row like this. And at this point, I need to come up with a color for people. So there we go. This is a good people. So there's people here. There's people here. They're sitting on the picnic. They're sitting on the picnic baskets. Lunchtime. Lots of lawn chairs. It's great. Everybody's having a good time. And my son is right here. And then my dog is, he's a German Shepherd, so he's black. He's going to look like he's right here, like he's sitting like a good boy. And then there's my wife in her yellow sundress right here. Okay, so this is very important. Now, several people at this point had parked things right here, okay, and maybe not quite that dramatic, but here, here, lots of other cars and some other things. So you can kind of see it's a normal, normal sized driveway with a 3-car garage. But my buddy had recently really gotten into mini bikes. Okay. And he probably, everybody, he's got this little crew of people in his neighborhood with all these mini bikes around, and they all get them together and they have a good time and they ride up and down and they just, they're silly and they're all kind of parked at a 45-degree angle, as you do right here. Okay. And, I don't have a lot of experience with mini bikes, but I have experience with regular motorcycles. I have a motorcycle endorsement. I rode sport bikes for a while, regular bikes, and they're all kind of lined up like this. So I have some experience with these bikes. Okay, now, my friend comes up to me and says, Eric, do you want to ride one? I said, hell yeah, I want to ride one. These things are great. Let's do it. Like, what do we do? Like, how do I, what's the thing? And he's like, look, the brakes aren't super great. They only go, maybe 20 miles an hour. They're tiny. They're tiny little mini bikes, right? And he had this orange Honda, I think it was like 30 cc's or 35 cc's, not huge, right? Small little bike. You have to rev the crap out of it just to get it to go anywhere. And so he comes up with me, and he's going to be this kind of dark blue color. And he starts this one right here, right? So we'll just say this is the one he started, and I am standing. I'm standing here, and he chooses to stand right here on the other side of the bike. So the bike is facing this direction, okay, and it's facing the people. Okay, this is not a short distance from here to here. Is not a super short distance. It is, maybe 30, 40 feet, but it's not super long either. It's, if you threw a rock, you could hit somebody. And basically, he starts the thing up, and it won't stay idled, and he's like, oh, maybe it's out of gas. Here, Eric, hold on. Here, it's idling, so just hold on to the handlebars, and I'll go get some gas, and I'll come back. So he goes this way, somewhere back here. Okay. Now, mind you, in all of this, there are between 50 and 75, again, I don't know how many people are milling about. So there's people here, there's somebody here, somebody here, somebody back here. There's people over here, they're kind of milling about here. They're getting food. They're here. There's several people sitting here and here, looking at the cars. There's a bunch of people here staring at cars, maybe drinking a soda or something. There's people all over, and there's several people walking their dogs here in the path. So it's not crowded, but it's cozy, I would say. And he hands the reins over to the mini bike, and I'm kind of leaning over, and he says, just keep it idling, and I'll be back. I'll get some gas, and then you can go zip around the neighborhood. Cool, I can do that. That's not super hard. Well, I'm holding it. He goes off somewhere, and at that point, the bike dies. Okay. Not a big deal. I can see in the gas tank he had already pulled the gas cover off, and I can see in there's plenty of gas. So it already started. Maybe it just needs to be warmed up a little bit. Here's where things went horribly, horribly wrong. I don't know what happened, but between me holding the handlebars and then me pulling the ripcord, somehow it went from idle position to full throttle position. Okay, keep that in mind. It literally went from nothing, the engine's not running, to full instant throttle. Now, these things don't have gears, okay? They don't, you can't shift these things. They have one gear. It's like a one gear bicycle. It's always in gear, right? So it's got this clutch that at low idle you can't really engage it, but as soon as you rev it up, it's kind of like a snowmobile, centrifugal clutch, that sort of thing, where it kind of expands. So it only has one gear, constant velocity sort of clutch, and it went from 0 to full throttle as soon as I ripped it, and as soon as I got to the very top, it popped off. And keep in mind, this all happened within a blink of a second. The thing went boom, and it jumped straight up to full throttle and at full revs. Okay, so this thing rips out of my hand. I grab it hard with my left hand, kind of pull it to one side, and the whole thing is just spinning. And the whole thing is spinning. Now, mind you, this is in front of everybody. Okay? And as this is happening, right, the bike is facing my family. Okay? And other people have families too. I'm sure it's wonderful, and they, love them as I'm sure as dearly as I love mine. But more importantly, it was my family, and it was pointing right at the thing. And the thing is at full throttle, doing a burnout, just like this. And I don't know what to do because he did not show me where the shutoff was. Didn't know where it was. He didn't show me. He just said, here's the throttle, Eric, and here's the brake. Okay, like I can handle that, But he didn't tell me where the cutoff was, so I didn't know. I had no idea where this thing was, and I'm just, holding on for dear life as this thing is trying to jump out of my hands. And at some point, I try to wrestle the thing. It starts bouncing like this, and then it rips out of my hand, goes straight up into the air. Okay, so this thing literally starts pointing to the sky like this. And it's bouncing on its back wheel like this. And every time it catches, it bounces, and it goes straight up and down, straight up and down. And I'm, panicking at this point because I'm kind of looking around and I'm seeing now I've got a bit of a crowd. Okay, so all these people have started moving over because they hear the commotion. They hear an engine at full throttle. They hear tires squealing. They probably see the smoke, and they're over here. And now we've got ourselves a bit of a crowd of people. Okay, all the people around me watching me try and wrestle this thing. And it's, I know most of these people. And I have this uncontrollable mini bike that my buddy just rebuilt at full throttle, chirp, 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 whop, whop, just making all this sorts of noise. I make the panic decision. Mine happens in maybe 2 seconds. I mean, really, really quick. And it's bouncing up and down, and it's pointed at my family, and it kicks the back tire up and back, and it bounces again. And I finally, in that moment, for like the third bounce or so, I'd make the decision. I just lay the bike over, and just let the little, now that it's on its side, just let it spin like this. Okay, so now the bike is pointed this way. Okay, it's pointed this way, and it's on the ground. Okay. Because at the moment when I was doing this, while this was happening, my thought was, well, I can't hit my family. I can't hit the house. There's people this way, and there are cars this way. I can't go behind me because there's a whole row of mini bikes. In the moment, my thought was, just put it down. Just lay it on its side and hope for the best. At this moment, I've got it, and it's just going to town, and at full throttle, and a guy walks up to me, real calm, and the guy I know really well, really nice guy, goes, "Hey Eric, why don't you just turn it off?" How? He goes, "Right there, a little button right there." Like, click, thing shuts off. In the meantime, my buddy who has gotten the gas has already come back, and he's right here. He's standing right here. I'm embarrassed because this thing has made a whole bunch of smoke, a whole bunch of noise, and I think I've destroyed this thing. He just rebuilt it, and he's really proud of it. And I've laid this thing on its side. It's probably got scratches up the wazoo, and it's been at full throttle for 10 or 15 seconds. And there I am, just drenched in sweat, and I've got a crowd around me. And I said the only thing that came to my head, which was, "Do you guys see that?" That's the only thing I could come up with at the moment. And so my buddy, who owns the mini bike, kind of parts the crowd a little bit, and he kind of looks at me and he goes, "Well, that was an adventure." And I said, "Oh man, I'm really sorry. What could I do to fix your bike? I'm super sorry. Like, I don't know what happened between it dying and ripping the cord. It got full throttle and took off on me." And he's like, "Yeah, looked like you had it under control." I had nothing under control. I had this thing literally by the handlebars as it's bouncing, and like doing this thing, tank slapping, it's trying to get away from me like a stuck fish that wanted to get back in the water. And he just kind of laughed, pat me on the back, and said, "Nah, don't worry about it. It happens." And the guy who told me about the kill switch had said, he kind of comes up to me, they all had this kind of look on their face. And they said, "Don't worry, Eric. This stuff happens. They're mini bikes, whatever." And I didn't believe him. I just thought, oh, they're just being nice to me. And at this point, my wife, so my wife, here she is in her, her yellow sundress. She stands up in front of everybody and says, "Don't worry, everybody. He's taken. That's my husband." So, so the bike was fine. I did learn later that owners of mini bikes back in the 70s, that was a thing that did happen, and everybody did, just kind of one of those things that if you don't know until it happens, right? You can at times, you got to make sure the throttle's all the way down, but it can stick in the open position, and when you go to pull the ripcord, it will take off on you. So I did learn that later. I thought they were just being nice to me and letting me know, like, oh, it happens to everybody, Eric. That sort of thing. But no, that was a thing. So in my quick thinking, don't hit my family, don't hit the cars, don't hit the people, don't hit the house. That's going to make things a million times worse. Just throw the bike down and let it run out of gas or something. That was the only thing that could have saved the day. But nobody got hurt. The bike was fine. A couple scratches, but at the end of the day, everything was fine. Nobody got hurt. I was fine. Family was fine, and still married to this day. So that is the story of Eric and the mini bike. So anyway, my son still to this day wishes he had a camera. He says the funniest thing he had ever seen in his life was me trying to wrestle this bucking bronco of a mini bike. So anyway, that's my most embarrassing automotive story. I'm sure there's going to be plenty more. Anyway, let me know yours. Tell me yours in there. I've got plenty to share, but I just thought that one was more fun than. It's one of my better ones where nobody got hurt and we're just being silly. So again, owner's fine, I'm fine, no hard feelings in between us, we're all good. So you know who you are, and you know who I'm talking about. So we still talk to this day. So anyway, let me know your embarrassing story, put it in the comments, and if you made it this far, great. If you like these sorts of things, give me a like or a subscribe. If you don't, no problem, I'll see you next time. But thanks again for everybody for sticking with it. That is the most embarrassing story I've got so far.